So the reason why I say it's absolutely insane what Nintendo is doing is just the amount of new games, hype, and just overall events that they're going to for the Nintendo Switch 2. If you guys didn't know, Nintendo is going to Summer Game Fest 2025, something they didn't do last year. They're also going to Gamescom too, and I really can't remember the last time Nintendo pushed the Nintendo Switch this aggressively. Now, of course, I'm not saying that Nintendo hasn't done that before. They've released a lot of games over the years, like Super Mario Odyssey, of course the Metroid Prime Remaster, there's also big games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and just overall a lot of cool Nintendo Switch games that we've been playing over the course of the years. But it really does feel like there are months where Nintendo kind of has some downtime, right? There are times where Nintendo is really quiet and we're all wondering, well, we're waiting, what are you gonna be doing next, right? But recently it's been feeling like Nintendo has been going full blast with Nintendo Switch news. They've been more open with what they're doing. They have those developer talks about Mario Kart and other games. I mean, we had the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal in 2 directs around the same time. That's absolutely insane. And that's a big reason why I say it's absolutely insane what Nintendo is doing, is because they are really pushing the Nintendo Switch 2, which is rightfully so. I mean, this is their new console. They need to make it a success. And one way to make it a success is a Nintendo Direct. So I do have a theory on the Nintendo Direct. If you guys didn't know, when it comes to the June Nintendo Direct, there was a rumor going around. We've covered this in the last video, I believe, and also a video specifically focused on that update. Click the top right corner if you want to watch that video. Essentially, what the situation around Nintendo Directs is that there was supposed to be a June Nintendo Direct. This was from PH Brazil. He has proven in the past that he has correct information on Nintendo Directs. So that's why when he came out and said stuff about there's going to be a June Nintendo Direct, a lot of people got really excited because he was right in the past. But unfortunately, after Nate the Hate came out and said that he hasn't heard anything, he didn't say there isn't a June Nintendo Direct, he just hasn't heard anything. PH Brazil essentially came out and backtracked his words on the Nintendo Direct rumor. And that rumor was there's supposed to be a Nintendo Direct for this June, this week, and it's already Friday and we got no Nintendo Direct, right? So obviously that ended up not being true. So the big question is then, when is the Nintendo Direct? Well, the reason why I mentioned Summer Game Fest and Gamescom 2025, which Nintendo is also going, is because my theory is that there's not going to be a June Nintendo Direct, and here's why. Which will also help the whole insane what Nintendo is doing thing. So my theory is that there's going to be a September Nintendo Direct. I mean, think about it. Nintendo already has a ton of new Nintendo Switch games lined up already. Of course, at launch, we already got the GameCube Nintendo Switch Online Service games. We also have Mario Kart World. Those are already 2 very big things for the Nintendo Switch 2. But I mean, we also have other games that have been releasing with the Nintendo Switch 2 as well, and some pretty big upcoming stuff for the platform too. We have Donkey Kong Bonanza, of course. That's going to be coming out in 1 month. That's already a pretty big game already. And then we have like the upgrades for Super Mario Jamboree and Kirby and the Forgotten Land and other games too. Not to mention we have the Robo remaster as well, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, and a lot of other new Nintendo Switch games. There's actually quite a lot coming to the platform leading into September. And obviously after September with Pokemon Legends ZA. The reason why I'm mentioning all this is because my whole point is that Nintendo already has a lot of games stacked up for the next 6 or so months. And what do we always see in the tweet when Nintendo tweets out about Nintendo Direct? They always mention this is going to be for the next 6 months. Or at least when it comes to the games that they're announcing at whatever Nintendo Direct they're tweeting about. So if Nintendo has Gamescom and they also have Summer Game Fest to announce games, plus they already got games placed in place for the Nintendo Switch 2, why would you come out with the Nintendo Direct and already announce more games and running a risk for oversaturation? I mean, you wouldn't, right? You would probably wait. Now, when do we usually get the next Nintendo Direct that we know in the past? Because if you guys didn't know, you can, for the most part anyways, look at Nintendo's past and predict their future. And one thing about that specifically is that it is the Nintendo Switch 2, and that has changed things a bit, but I do believe that now that it's released, I have a feeling Nintendo's gonna go back to what they usually do. I mean, it worked in the past, and they definitely need to make the Nintendo Switch 2 work. And what usually works is supplying constant games for the Nintendo Switch 2. And do we have anything after September other than Pokemon Legends ZA set up for the next 6 months after September? No, we really don't, do it. I mean, heck, we don't even have Metroid Prime's release date. I mean, that's absolutely insane because it is a really big game, and my belief is that we're probably gonna get a release date for that, and it's probably gonna be November. And speaking of other games, even when you look at the release dates for some of the third-party games, a lot of them are not past September. Just taking a look at some of the bigger games, we have Story of Seasons. I personally think that's a pretty big game personally. I know a lot of people don't like their farming simulators. I like them, but that's coming out in 2 months. The Robo remaster is coming out this month. Pokemon Legends ZA is is coming out, of course, in October. Again, that's the only thing after September. And then, of course, we have Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's already coming out next month. Then the 2 upgrades for Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Super Mario Jamboree are coming out next month and the month after that. And then, of course, there's other games. There's the Demon Slayer game, but that's not coming out in September. That's coming out in 2 months. So I'm starting to see a pattern, and what I've noticed is the pattern is that a lot of these games don't release after September. So Nintendo would have to announce new games, right? Now, of course, Summer Game Fest and Gamescom would be that place to announce a lot of these newer games. Some of them could be smaller. Of course, they're not probably going to be the bigger games like the new Zelda, Mario, whatever Nintendo's going to do. But surely we're going to get games that fill out the rest of the summer and some of the spots maybe even after September. And then, of course, we have the September Nintendo Direct. And I think during that September Nintendo Direct, that's where we're going to get that release date for Metroid Prime 4. And I have a feeling during the month of maybe October, maybe we'll even get a Metroid Prime 4 related Nintendo Direct. Now, the reason why I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be released in November is because obviously it's not going to be released in October because that's where Pokemon Legends ZA is. I don't think they'll release it in December because that's where Christmas is. Why would you release Metroid Prime 4 after Christmas? And of course it's not going to be in January, and unless it's going to be delayed until 2026, as far as we know, it's a 2025 game, so we still need a release date on that. The only thing I think Nintendo could do if it's not in November is they maybe stealth drop, or they end up doing a June Nintendo Direct, and I'm completely wrong, and all of this is just a waste of time. But I guess we'll see, because you have to wonder what is exactly up their sleeve. Like, the Nintendo Switch 2 is already out, they already have Mario Kart World out, and they already have some games set up already until September. So like, what do they have other than games that we already know about, like Metroid Prime 4, and maybe even a little look at Pokemon Legends ZA, and of course the third-party games and all the stuff that's going to be announced up until September. I think one thing that would be cool is maybe not the next Legend of Zelda, because I don't think they're going to bring out the next Legend of Zelda. That was one of the things I talked about in my Nintendo Direct speculation video, where I was talking about like what is going to be at the next Nintendo Direct. If you want to watch that, click the top right corner of this video. But I don't think they're going to bring out the next Legend of Zelda. I think what they're going to probably do is either some kind of remake. There is a current rumor about the Ocarina of Time remake, or maybe they'll bring the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD to the Nintendo Switch. If you guys didn't know, Nintendo said that it doesn't matter if we're putting on like games on the Nintendo Switch Online service, we could still put other games that maybe have the same version, but it's like an HD version on the Nintendo Switch, which would be Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. So maybe they'll do that, or maybe the next 3D Mario. I'm actually kind of surprised that we didn't launch with a new 3D Mario, but we did get Mario Kart, so that does make a lot of sense that we still had something Mario, but not the 3D Mario. And then if you were talking about like Mario, then like what kind of Mario? Are we talking about a 3D Mario? Are we talking about a Mario like 2D Mario? Or are we going to get like Super Mario Odyssey 2 or Mario Galaxy 3? What do they do there? And heck, even like new IPs. Is Nintendo ever going to make a new IP? I know a lot of people will say that Nintendo doesn't really make new IPs, but they kind of do. Like every system, we've had a new IP in some way, shape, or form. I mean, even with the original Nintendo Switch, we had ARMS. And again, like I said in the speculation video, for however long that managed to last. I mean, maybe we'll get like ARMS 2 or something. I don't know. I don't know. What would you guys like to see from Nintendo, like in new IP? What kind of game would you like to see? Do you want like an RPG? Do you want a platformer, an action RPG? Do you want something else, like a new fighter? And then I think about it, I wonder if we'll ever get like a new Super Smash Bros. As well, like on the Nintendo Switch 2, or are we gonna have to wait until the next system? So what do you guys think? Do you think because Nintendo has all of these games already lined up, because Nintendo is already going to Summer Game Fest and they're also going to Gamescom 2025, do you think there's going to be no June Nintendo Direct, and you think Nintendo's going to wait until September? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about my theory, and do you think it's absolutely insane that Nintendo is pushing the Nintendo Switch 2 this aggressively? Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.